Hey there friend, it's Mark from Men Who Bullet. Thanks for hanging out with me today as I set up my weekly Plan With Me and a part of my weekly Plan With Me series. Today we're going to just be setting up a 3-day work week because I have a short week this week. So I'm only going to be using the left-hand side of my page, but I still need some extra functionality in here. I like to take a look at my week ahead, especially when it's a short week. There's a lot of tasks and things that have to be done when you're only working part of the week. So to do this, we're going to be setting up a layout that is pretty functional. It follows along similar to what I've been doing for my previous weeklies, where I'm just going to focus on each day of the week with kind of an overview of my week at the top. And then what I'm going to do on the bottom of the page is I'm just going to split this page out in half. And that way I have plenty of room for my notes and for all of my tasks. To figure out my spacing, I'm going into the back of my notebook where I created my cheat sheet. This is a really fast and easy way to figure out what am I doing. So when I thought about breaking out this page, I was first kind of measuring out based off of the stamp that I'm going to use. This is just a really cool stationery stamp that I got from Desk Gems, and I'll link everything down in the descriptions for you below. But what I did is I actually measured out my stamp and I was like, how many squares is this going to take? So it actually took up 7 squares on my page. So I kind of follow along with this, knowing that I'm not going to necessarily use this exact spacing, but I am going to use that for these weekly overview pieces. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the stamp on the left-hand side, kind of like a left border, and then I'll use all of this space over here for my events and tasks and things like that. So what I did is I went 3 from the top, then I counted down 7 spaces here, and then I gave myself just like an extra little space, and then we'll create that overall spacing there. Now to create my spacing horizontally across this page here for each of my columns, I went with just a 3-column layout. So each one of these is going to be 10 spaces. So this is going to be 10 with 1 space in between, all the way across my page, and that's going to give me exactly what I need. And then for this space here, I just went with my 2-column. This is going to be 16 spaces across each. And that's how we're going to create the page nice and easy. I have everything already marked out here on the page. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to be using this stamp here. This is from Watch Them. I got this from Desk Gems. Big fan, love the way that this looks, and we're going to kind of do that little stationery theme this week. Now, of course, like I said, if you don't have stamps or you don't want to add color and you want to go pretty basic, you can just use this grid layout here and just draw it out and be good to go. We're going to kind of do that, except we're going to have a little bit of extra fun this week. So we're going to be using that stamp. I'm going to go with the blue color, so this nice dark blue color. This is from the VersaFine Clear. Just wanted to do something different than black ink this week. So that's what we're going to use for that. I'm going to be drawing in all of my lines with my Faber-castell Pitt Artist Fine Liner. This is in cobalt green. This is small, so it's a nice thin tip on that pen, and it will just kind of hold its space on here really well. And then for my little headers down here, I'm going to be using 2 different things. The first thing I'm going to use are these little ink blots that are here. This is from Ink Blot Shop. This is a whole stationery kit. Again, I will link it for you in the descriptions below, but we're going to use those for the headers. I'm not sure if you've ever used Archer Olive Acrylograph pens before, but these are paint pens from Archer Olive. This is from the metallic set that they had, and this is in graphite. So we're just going to be creating like kind of like a gray with those blues and just kind of keep it looking like that this week. But first, let's go ahead and just pencil in the space that we're going to be using here just to give myself a good visual guide, and then we'll erase this afterwards. I've already marked in most of the spaces that I'm going to be using here this week. I'm not going to go too heavy, and I'm not going to draw all of them in. I really just need to have this line here on the left-hand side of my boxes so that I know where I'm going to put down that stamp. I'm going to put down the stamp first and then go over it with the marker afterwards because I don't trust myself in that I'm going to get a perfect stamp. So anything that might be off, I can then go over with the pen or the marker later, kind of cover up any of my mistake areas there. Once we're ready to go, I'm going to use my pen to just draw out these boxes here, but I'm just going to mark them with my pencil right now just for a visual of, well, what is this page going to look like? This is what this stamp is going to look like when we actually press it down. You'll see it in just a second, but it has pens and little notebooks and glasses and paint and tape and all kinds of fun stationery things. And it's just the theme of the week that I'm going with. It's not going to be perfect. Stamps never really are. It's hard to line things up, and I'm looking at it now and I realize I should have just did them all kind of how I did these last 2, which was lining up the edge of my stamp blocks with the corners of this to get that good equal press. This one, I kind of looked at the side of the stamp to see where it was marked and added it there. So it's a little bit off, but not super worried about it, but just a good tip for the future. Think about how you want to lay down your stamp before you start laying down your stamps. That whole, planning in advance thing that I'm so great at. Now that I have these in here, I'm gonna go ahead and lay down my lines. All right, so we were 3 spaces here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll go ahead and draw in that in just a second. We're just gonna go ahead and first get down the rest of these stamps while I have them out and try not to make a mess all over the place. For these little ink blots, I'm just going to be using just my acrylic block here. I'll go with this medium blob. That'll fit inside that space pretty well. Just a big fan of VersaFine ink. It's just been some of the best ink that I've used, so you'll see me using a lot of that. All right, now we're going to use the Archer Olive Acrylograph pen here. This is a 7mm tip, as you can see there. I haven't used this one in a little bit, so we gotta shake it up first. I always like to grab a little extra piece of paper here, because sometimes these will have extra paint on them. As you can see, I just want to make sure I'm getting a good, see, a whole lot of blob coming out there. So good thing that I grabbed this first. Have to shake this up a little bit more. I think the tip of this is not doing too well. So what happens when you buy stuff and don't use it right away all the time. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm just not going to press down on this since this has a lot of the paint already here on the tip, and let's just write in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All right, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in my uppercase, or not really uppercase and lowercase, I only write in uppercase, but we have our big letters in little letter font. I don't know what it's called, big and smalls, maybe, for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we'll do the same thing here. I'm just gonna write over top of where the ink blot is. All right, well, we're all set. That's all we're going to do for this week. So the way that I have this really set up is I'll put any kind of overarching task or events or any type of appointments in these spaces here, and then I'll be using all of this space here for notes and tasks. I leave this space open here because I never really know how much space I'm going to need, especially on a short week. Even though it's a short week, it's like you have to fit a full week into 3 days. So there might be a lot of notes and things happening. I have a lot of carryovers from the previous week that I need to bring in here that did not get done last week. They weren't major priorities, but they're definitely things that I need to get done before I'm out of the office at the end of this week. Hopefully you found a nice and easy way that you can set up your week, especially for short weeks. If you were doing a full week though, you could certainly take this page and just double it over here if you want. Have that overview across the top with all of your space for your notes. That's what I've been doing for previous weeks. As I said, it's been working out pretty well for me and I like the way that it rolls. So probably gonna keep with something like this for a little bit, just adding in different ways to add some cool visual interest and then continue on our week. So thanks for hanging out with me. If you like this video, all the previous episodes are over here that you can check out. Can't believe we're already on episode 4. These are going so quickly. I love it. So have a great one and I'll talk with you soon. See ya.